Today, we have an epic battle, a battle between two icons. On the red side, we have a Japanese man who's a master of his craft, a man who arguably revolutionized his field of media as a whole, a man who has worked tirelessly to create some of the genre-defining pieces of art in his field, a man who is an inspiration to everyone around him. And on the other side, we have Hayao Miyazaki. Now, before you write that angry comment, have a seat, grab a bag of chips, and relax. For real this time. In the red corner, we have Hayao Miyazaki. He's one of the most accomplished directors in the history of animation. He's created some of the most beloved movies of all time, like Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke, and Howl's Moving Castle. Kids all over the world love his movies for the gorgeous animation, the entertaining plots, and the lovable characters. He's dedicated his whole life to the art of animated filmmaking, and he's an inspiration to many of the most skilled animators in the entire world. It would not be a stretch to say that he is the single most important man in all of animation. Now, I would say that most people know who Hayao Miyazaki is. On the other side, let's go to the blue corner of the ring. In the blue corner, we have Hidetaka Miyazaki. Hidetaka Miyazaki is a video game director for From Software, a video game studio known for making the Souls series of games. While he's worked on a lot of games, the two in particular, Dark Souls and most recently Elden Ring, are considered by some to be the greatest and most revolutionary games of all time. Gamers know him for breaking the mold of traditional games by making the gameplay difficult and the storytelling cryptic. It's pretty common to die a lot in these games, and it's also common to have no idea what's going on. But for some reason, people love the games, and I find them really enjoyable. Today, he's considered one of the biggest auteurs in the gaming industry, an auteur being someone who more or less has complete control over the game's development. Now, let's get back to the battle. We're here because these two fighters have a lot in common, even though they're part of two different industries. They both have unique storytelling styles. One builds a world with beautiful colors and childhood wonder, while the other weaves dark settings filled only with suffering. We're here because both were named among Time magazine's top 100 most influential people in 2023 and 2024 respectively. And most importantly, we're here because I saw this funny meme. I am here to give you an extremely objective and unbiased comparison of these two iconic directors. We're going to compare the directors on three things: their works, their influence, and their personalities. Then we're going to crown a winner. Let's dive right in. Now, Hayao Miyazaki is most known for making animated movies like Spirited Away, Nausicaa, The Valley of the Wind, and Howl's Moving Castle. All of his movies have beautiful art. Things like nature, childhood wonder, and some sci-fi are also pretty common themes in his movies. I really like the facial expressions that he has in his movies. Now, to some extent, his movies are targeted at children, so he makes the facial expressions really lively, and the colors generally are bright and pretty clear. You could tell just by looking at a character's face how they're feeling in a lot of these movies. And the same is true for the dialogue and the narrative, which are both usually straightforward in the movies. The narrative structure is also pretty standard. It all really makes it so the viewer can marvel at the art and enjoy the story without having to think too much. You can tell who's good and who's bad, you can tell who's happy and who's sad. You can understand more or less what's going on. And by following the general principles of animation, he excels at creating a really compelling and interesting story. I haven't watched every Miyazaki movie, but I really enjoyed all the ones I have watched. I feel the same way about Hidetaka's works too, but they couldn't be any more different. Your average Souls game requires a minimum of 3 hours of YouTube videos to understand what is going on. And that's after playing the game through to completion. I had about 80 hours on Elden Ring when I beat it, and only then I had a very rough understanding of what was going on. Channels like Jack is a Mimic or The Tarnished Archaeologist really helped me appreciate the stunning amount of detail in these games. Every aspect, from the weapon styles to the map locations to the item descriptions, is deliberate and thoughtful. The thing is, it's really hard to catch it. There are times when things happen for seemingly no reason at all. The gameplay is unforgiving, but so is the storytelling. One second you touch an egg being held by a lady you've never seen before, and the next you're in a desert at the end of the world. Another moment you get in a coffin and you just start levitating up a waterfall into an underground city for some reason. I'm not even taking things out of context, this is actually just what happens. Hidetaka Miyazaki does not care that you don't get the story on your first playthrough. He trusts that you, the player, will eventually figure it out. In that way, it's pretty unique because the story is told for an audience who has access to the internet. But even if you forget the overarching story, even the regular dialogue is obtuse. You can't understand what people are saying. Characters often hide their expressions in suits of armor. You can't tell who's good and who's bad just by looking at them. Many villains are even deliberately designed to be heroic. There are also multiple endings in a few of these games, which is good because it gives players a choice. That's something only video games can do. That being said, it's almost impossible to understand whether some of these endings are good or bad. I'm not going to get too much into the details of the game because there are already multiple hour-long video essays on that topic, but just know that it breaks the standard rules of game development. The game doesn't tell you where to go, doesn't tell you what to do, and often they don't even explain the basic mechanics. The games just throw everything at you and leave you on your own to figure it out. It's here we really see how the two Miyazakis couldn't be any more different. One creates happy worlds with clear logic, the other creates dark worlds with confusing logic. With some personal bias, I'm gonna give the point here to Hidetaka Miyazaki. While I do love a good Hayao Miyazaki story, I just feel like there wasn't that much depth to them. Yes, I know they're children's movies, but come on. Elden Ring has been out for a while, and people have sunk their teeth into every conceivable nook and cranny of it, and there is still more being found. I cannot tell you how many times I was watching an Elden Ring video and found out about a weapon I have never seen or heard of in my entire life, and that is after me playing the game for 80 hours. There's a lot more to cover here, I'm sure, but I want to talk about the next part, which is their influence on their overall genres. Both Hayao and Hidetaka Miyazaki were mentioned in the Time 100 Most Influential Peoples lists. I've linked to both of the articles in the description in case you want to see them for yourself. For a bit of background, Hayao was born in 1941 during World War II. He's mentioned in interviews that some of his earliest memories are of bombed-out cities. Keep this in mind as it really shows in his films. He started working in animation in 1963, but his first major film success came later in 1983 with Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. Eventually, he proceeded to release many more iconic films, My Neighbor Totoro, Princess Mononoke, and Spirited Away. And each of these films are absolutely iconic, but more importantly, they inspired a generation of animators and storytellers. He's been cited as an inspiration by Shigeru Miyamoto, Hironobu Sakaguchi, Steven Spielberg, Guillermo del Toro, James Cameron, and many, many more. Even Hidetaka Miyazaki's work is influenced by Hayao Miyazaki. I don't think it would be an exaggeration to say that every single piece of animation created in the 21st century, in some way, shape, or form, has been influenced by Hayao Miyazaki. TV shows like Avatar: The Last Airbender, full-on feature films by Disney, and even The Simpsons were influenced by Hayao Miyazaki. Now, as for Hidetaka, he's a lot younger than Hayao, so it's obviously going to be an uphill battle. There are a few games that cite the Soul series as an influence, Lies of P, Lords of the Fallen, and you can even see it in God of War. Hidetaka's influence extends far beyond action RPGs, but I'm not really going to get into it. There are many successful games influenced by Hidetaka Miyazaki one way or another, but he has a long way to go before he reaches Hayao's influence. I do personally believe that the next generation of game developers will be heavily influenced by Hidetaka Miyazaki, but I do have to give this point to Hayao Miyazaki in the end. Even if you try to account for the age difference, He just has an undeniable amount of influence in his artistic medium. But speaking of age difference, let's go to our final comparison, their personalities. Hidetaka Miyazaki is pretty enigmatic. I was able to find one quote in an interview which I think shines a good light on his personality though. Let's check it out. "I love the look of despair in the eyes of gamers when they die to a difficult oh, sorry, wrong quote. Here's the real one. "Don't give up. Obstacles can be overcome through strategy and learning." Hidetaka Miyazaki is a positive and hopeful person. You can see the love and passion in his games. Even though his games have a somber setting, you can still find beauty in them. Even though there's difficult challenges, you could still overcome them. And even though there are some grotesque horrors in the worlds, you can still see glimpses of heroism within them. Overcoming tremendous odds is a theme in his games, and he wants to impart that onto the player. He often cites Berserk as a major influence in his childhood, and you can see it in all of his games. He wants the player to feel like they can accomplish more and overcome challenges not only in games, but in their own lives. To me, this is really inspiring. But what's even more inspiring is his sheer dedication and attention to detail. One thing we know is that he has a lot of control over the fine details in the development process. He takes part in writing some of the lore, he gives detailed feedback on the in-game art, and he maintains the overall vision for each of the games he works on. There are other gaming auteurs like Hideo Kojima or Fumiko Ueda, but Hidetaka's attention to detail is on another level. I really encourage you to check out some of these Dark Souls or Elden Ring lore videos on YouTube if you're interested. If you check them out, you'll see that there are so many little details that come together in making these worlds interesting. Every painting in a dungeon, every line of dialogue, and every detail on the models is there for a reason. I personally love seeing this type of dedication. It makes me want to put that type of effort into the things in my own life. It even inspired me to make this video. And speaking of inspiration, Hayao Miyazaki inspired an entire generation of animators, but as a person, he's not entirely inspiring. A lot of people know that Hayao is a generally grumpy person, and in my research I found a lot of quotes. Some of these quotes I honestly didn't even believe were real, and then I actually went and found the sources for them. Could you blame me for thinking that the guy who made this also said this? To be fair, he did say these things when he was a lot younger, and he also does say some pretty inspiring things. He has this quote, which is similar to the Hidetaka one I showed earlier. If you want to learn more, I would recommend the Kingdom of Dreams and Madness documentary on Netflix, and there are a couple of interviews I've linked in the description as well. All this is to say that I just personally can't really bring myself to be inspired by him. Yeah, he has extraordinary filmmaking talent, but I get the sense that I hate this world, and this is how it should be, I think this attitude really comes off in his interactions with his staff and the people he's close to. And he's just not really the type of person that I want to be around. And maybe it's because of all the pressure he has on him, or his childhood, I don't know. I don't get inspired by cynicism, but I do know others that are. Pause the video and let me know in the comments what you think. To sum it all up in one sentence, I'm inspired by Hayao's work and his dedication, but not by him as a person. Alright, now that we've talked about our fighters, it's time to crown a winner. The winner of the personality battle and the overall battle for Best Miyazaki is Hidetaka Miyazaki. Now, while both of these fighters are great in their respective fields, Hidetaka takes the crown. It was a thrilling battle. Hidetaka has some revolutionary work, but he definitely did lose to Hayao in terms of influence. I like Hayao Miyazaki's movies a lot, but something about Hidetaka's earnest love for games really puts him on top for me. He also has a really inspiring story, and I would really encourage all of you to check out and learn more about him. Don Don RV, the YouTuber, has a great series about Hidetaka Miyazaki, so check that out. I feel like Hidetaka's love for games and fantasy really shines through in his work and in his personality too. But what do you guys think? Did I get it wrong? Who's your favorite Miyazaki? Let me know in the comments if you think Hayao Miyazaki should have won, or if there are any details that I missed. While you're down there, give this video a like if you enjoyed it. I had fun making this video, so if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. And also, if you're interested in similar content, check out my other videos on Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy XII. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video.